New details in a tragic murder-suicide in Hazeldale. Is C-Tran just a waste of taxpayer dollars, and area children get a chance to go shopping with Santa? I'm Chris Brown, and this is Clark County Today. We're learning more about what led up to the tragic murder of a Vancouver mother in front of her 3 children last week. The Clark County Sheriff says Keelan Hill was arrested in September, and Tiffany Hill obtained a restraining order which her estranged husband violated multiple times, including putting a tracking device on her vehicle and attempting to buy a gun in Oregon. Instead of setting bail at $2 million as requested by the county prosecutor's office, a judge set Hill's bail at $250,000. Hill made bail 4 days before the murder. At a vigil last Sunday night, Tiffany's mother, who was injured in the shooting, said she had hoped to rescue her daughter.
That was my daughter. That was my best friend. That was my princess. I tried to save my baby. I came home here to break a home with me and the kids. I knew something was wrong and going on.
The Clark County Major Crimes Team continues to investigate the case, including how Hill obtained the weapon he used. Tiffany Hill's family says they hope to bring her children back with them to the East Coast. A GoFundMe has raised nearly $100,000 for the family. The Clark County Council approved a $554 million budget before the Thanksgiving holiday, but council members weren't in much of a festive mood afterwards. The budget is $27 million more than last year and includes a nearly 2% property tax increase and 1% road fund levy increase that will add around $11.50 to the property tax bill on a $360,000 home next year. The budget hearings feature some interesting back and forth with the county councilors. Chair Eileen Quirine and District 4 Councilor Gary Medvedji voted no, citing concerns over rising taxes and what they call a lack of transparency with some of the spending introduced by the other councilors. And the other councilors noted expenses are rising faster than revenue, making it necessary to raise taxes and fund things like RV cleanup efforts and a new Superior Court judge. Be sure to read the full story at clarkcountytoday.com. Speaking of taxes, in his editorial this week, Clark County Today editor Ken Vance took on C-Tran and what he calls the agency's high burden on area taxpayers. Vance noting his own experience recently watching nearly empty buses running along the Fourth Plain Vine. Buses, he points out, that cost an eye-popping amount of money. Vance also notes that only 9% of C-Tran's operating budget comes from fares, leaving taxpayers to pick up the rest, even as the agency presses ahead with an expansion of the Vine to the Mill Plain corridor, and the governors of Oregon and Washington press for mass transit on the new Interstate Bridge project. Agree or disagree? You're invited to share your own opinion on our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and through clarkcountytoday.com. Earlier this week, we sat down with Battleground City Manager Aaron Erdman and Clark County Fire District 3 Chief Scott Sorensen to ask them some questions about the upcoming vote to annex the city into Fire District 3. Erdman and Sorensen say the contract reached in 2016 wasn't a bad deal, but they also admit it was a stopgap, and they knew even then that annexation would likely be on the table before they had to renew it.
I stated before, this is kind of the long-term plan, and it's worked out very well. Fire District 3 came out of that providing the best service for the lowest cost, and they've delivered on that promise. And the intent of the RFP and the contract has done just that, has given us that time to go back and build a plan moving forward for what makes the most sense to continue to provide fire and medical emergency services to our citizens.
If annexation is not approved, Erdman says there could be cuts to fire and police services since the cost of the new contract would exceed the city's property tax levy amount.
Some of the things that may be impacted would be staffing, which results in longer response times, and that also could impact the insurance rating that the city enjoys at this point, and ultimately just a lower level of service, less available resources to deal with the 911 calls.
To ease the pain of added property taxes, the city will cut utility rates from 22 to 12%, representing a cost savings of around 46% for most people. Some people will still pay more taxes, but others could actually see some savings. Be sure to check out the full Q&A on our YouTube page and at clarkcountytoday.com. Nearly 140 children in Clark County received free clothes this holiday season via a charity called Santa's Clothes. Jacob Graneman has more on the story.
Nearly 140 children received the blessing of new clothes and shoes this holiday season through the beloved Santa Claus program at Penney in the Vancouver Mall. A sea of small faces filed into the store Wednesday morning. Some had never set foot in such a store, much less ever been given the resources to buy such clothes.
So Santa Claus came to our club by a former Rotarian who has since passed away and brought this wonderful idea for us to go out into the community to partner with youth organizations to bring children in to shop for new clothes.
Many of the children come from the foster care system, and more still live each day below the heavy line of poverty. Through connections between local children's organizations and the donations of Clark County businesses, they will feel less of a burden this Christmas.
What it always is, it's the smile on the kid's face. You bring in the spirit of Christmas and the holidays, and it makes all of the pre-planning that we've done, it makes it all worthwhile.
Vancouver Rotary and the Greater Clark Rotary plan to continue growing the program. In 2020, Vancouver Rotary will celebrate 100 years of service to the community. For Clark County Today, I'm Jacob Graneman.
Great story. Thank you, Jacob. Well, tennis coach and player Sonia Leams is no stranger to challenges. After surviving the Bosnian War as a child, Leams relocated with her family to Vancouver. All she brought with her was her tennis racket. Now she teaches others the love of the sport that got her through the tough times. One of her pupils, Jim Boyer, benefited more than most. Boyer took Leams' tennis class through his fight with brain cancer and then became one of 16 people to actually survive an experimental drug treatment for brain cancer. Now the two are dear friends and share in two things: their incredible stories of positive attitudes and survival, as well as their great love for the sport of tennis. Check back soon for the full inspiring story at clarkcountytoday.com. All right, now it's time for Paul Valencia previewing a pretty big football game happening this weekend.
Happy Friday, everybody. One more day, just one more day until Saturday, Championship Saturday. Camas Papermakers taking on Bothell for the Class 4A State Football Championship. That game's at Mount Tahoma High School in Tacoma. We'll be there. Hey, before the game, you can read about quarterback Blake Asciutto. And also the Camas defense will be featured Friday on clarkcountytoday.com. And I'll have some other preview stuff as well. It's the end of high school football season on Saturday, and Clark County just might get a state championship team again.
All right, thanks, Paul, and go Papermakers. Hey, Christmas is just around the corner. Our event calendar is just jam-packed with fun ideas. I counted over 30 events this weekend alone, so be sure to check it out at clarkcountytoday.com/events. There's your quick rundown of the top stories this week from Clark County Today. As I mentioned, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to see when stories are posted and be part of the conversation. And if you appreciate what we're doing, consider sharing us with your friends, all right? You'll never run out of free clicks on our website. For all of us at Clark County Today, I'm Chris Brown. Thanks so much for watching. Have yourself a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.